After watching Brazil lose the World Cup final, this 9-year-old boy made a promise to his tearful father.
I won a World Cup for Brazil I promise.
Hearing this, his father figured the kid was just trying to cheer him up. He told him to listen to his mom and focus on school. But what he didn't know was that his son's promise would one day bring Brazil 3 World Cup titles, because that boy was none other than Pelé. But what most people don't know is that Pelé wasn't his real name. It was a mocking nickname rich kids made up to bully him. Like many legends, Pelé's childhood was a rough start. Growing up in poverty, he'd set up a little stand on the street after school, shining shoes just to help his family scrape by. But the lack of money could never crush the one thing that brought him pure joy: football. Since they couldn't afford a real ball, Pelé and his friends would take old socks, layer them up, stuff them with rags, and tie them into a makeshift ball. With no proper pitch to play on, the dusty dirt roads of their village, the back alleys, even the low rooftops, all became their playing fields. And it was in that rough and tumble setting that these barefoot boys, fueled by raw passion, mastered the unique style that runs in every Brazilian's blood, ginga. But that love for the game was met with fierce opposition from his mother. She'd scold them and order them back to shining shoes. Even when his father asked to let them watch a World Cup match, she flatly refused. Her fear came from his father's past. He had once been a brilliantly talented pro player, until a vicious foul left his knee permanently damaged. His club dumped him without a second thought, and now he dragged that bad leg around, scrubbing toilets at a hospital for a living. Pelé's mother worked as a maid for a wealthy family, earning barely enough to scrape by. Even though his mother banned him from football, Pelé would still tag along to help her at the rich family's home, because there, he'd find all kinds of delicious pastries he'd never tasted before. And every time when his mom wasn't looking, he'd sneak a bite. Then one day, a group of wealthy kids walked in with mud-caked boots. When Pelé overheard them talking about his beloved football, he couldn't help but jump in. But he accidentally mispronounced the name of Vasco's goalie, Pelé, calling him Pelé instead. The rich kids burst out laughing and wouldn't let it go.
What idiot would think Pelé's name is Pelé?
We can call this boy Pelé.
Hey, Pelé, stop this shot.
And that's how the name Pelé was born. His mother came rushing over and immediately apologized to the rich kids, scolding Pelé harshly before he could even explain. She promised she'd never bring him back. Watching his mother grovel like that, Pelé's heart burned with anger. On the way out, he quietly snatched a newspaper from the shelf. It featured an ad for the very tournament those rich kids had been bragging about, the Boru Youth Cup. He made up his mind to find his own way, to win back his mother's dignity. So Pelé rounded up his street crew and signed up. But once the games began, used to the weight of their heavy sock ball, when a real football came to Pelé's feet, he completely whiffed it.
Why does it go so far? It's full up there!
It wasn't just Pelé. His friends struggled just as much. One tried to trap the ball with his chest and nearly got the wind knocked out of him. But before long, the street skills they'd honed over the years took over, and they quickly got a feel for the real ball. Even barefoot, they could slice through the tightest defense and score with ease. They blazed through every round, all the way to the final, but their brilliant run barely drew a crowd. All the cheers were on the other pitch, where a team was busy steamrolling their opponents 8-0. And that team was their opponent in the final, those rich kids, when the rich kids spotted Pelé and his crew.
Hey, they are called the shoeless ones.
The taunting began. Pelé and his friends looked down at their dirt-caked feet in shame. That's when Pelé spoke up. They needed proper boots, but they could barely afford food. Where would the money come from? Just then, his chubby friend spotted a truck loaded with peanuts. An idea sparked. When the workers weren't looking, they each grabbed a bag of peanuts and bolted. They were spotted almost immediately and chased down, but their nimble footwork and knowledge of the shortcuts helped them slip away clean, with the peanuts in hand. They hit the streets, hawking them loud. Buy peanuts, get a free shoe shine. Working together, they sold out in no time. But when the day of the final arrived, the peanut money they scraped together only got them a few pairs of clunky, beat-up secondhand boots. The others grumbled, but to avoid getting laughed at again, they gritted their teeth and laced up. Right at that moment, the announcer dropped a bombshell. A scout from Santos FC had shown up in the stands. Santos, the very club those rich kids dreamed of joining. So the moment the whistle blew, the rich kids went all out. Within minutes, Pelé's team was already down 2 goals. And with those clunky, oversized boots weighing them down, the gap kept growing, until the score reached a humiliating 6-0.
Nice moves, Pelé.
That taunting nickname sent Pelé into a rage. Luckily, his friends held him back. And right then, Pelé caught sight of his father in the crowd. Seeing those calm, encouraging eyes brought Pelé back to his senses. He reached down and yanked off his oversized boots, hurling them off the pitch. The crowd burst into laughter, but Pelé couldn't care less. He stood perfectly still, closed his eyes, and imagined the pitch as the dirt streets where he'd always played. Because only then could he find his true self again. When Pelé opened his eyes, the samba dancer inside him was fully awakened. He moved with confidence, unleashing his signature ginga. The ball seemed to come alive, dancing across his toes, his knees, and his shoulders with a life of its own. The crowd gasped in disbelief. Then he tore through the defense all by himself and chipped it in effortlessly. Seeing that, his teammates kicked off their shoes too, going barefoot. They let their ginga flow free, playing the purest, most liberated football of their lives. It completely quickly caught the other team off guard. Working in perfect sync, they clawed the score all the way back to 6-5. But when the final whistle blew, they'd fallen just one goal short. Having failed to beat the rich kids, Pelé hung his head and started to leave. But just then, a thunderous wave of applause rolled through the stands. Everyone was on their feet, chanting his name. The nickname once used to insult him had suddenly become a badge of glory. And that Santos scout, blown away by Pelé's extraordinary talent, handed his father a business card. But just as they were caught up in the joy, the peanut factory workers showed up looking for them. Pelé and his friends panicked and bolted. And right at that moment, the sky opened up in a torrential downpour. While running, the boy with glasses slipped and twisted his ankle. Pelé grabbed him and pulled him into a small dirt cave for shelter. They thought they were safe, but the relentless rain was softening the ground above them. Suddenly, the cave collapsed. Pelé reacted fast and scrambled out, but his friend was trapped. The mudslide swallowed him whole. He didn't make it. The loss of his friend left Pelé consumed by grief and unbearable guilt.
So we stole the peanuts to buy football boots. But if I hadn't said we needed the stupid boots, Thiago wouldn't have died.
Seeing her son sobbing his heart out, his mother didn't scold him. She simply opened her arms and pulled him close, whispering comfort. But the tragedy had lodged itself like a thorn. Deep in Pelé's young heart, he swore to his mother that from now on, he'd behave, work hard at school, and never play football again. His father witnessed it all. He quietly slipped back to their room and placed the scout's business card in his wife's hands. From that point on, Pelé seemed like a different kid. He kept his word. Every day after school, he'd follow his dad to clean at the hospital. No complaints, no matter how dirty the work was, but the smile that used to light up his face had completely vanished. In its place was a silence far too heavy for a boy his age, and he never touched a football again. His father saw all of this. He didn't want his son living under that shadow forever. So one afternoon during a break, his dad plucked a mango from a nearby tree and tried kicking it into a distant trash can. He missed again and again when he caught the faint smirk on his son's face. His father grinned knowingly. He adjusted his stance and nailed the mango cleanly into a trash can even farther away. Now it was his son's turn to be stunned. Only then did he realize his old man still had it, and that little friendly competition was like a key that finally unlocked the door Pelé had sealed shut inside. From then on, every single day he and his father would meet under the mango tree and use mangoes to practice juggling and shooting. At first, Pelé couldn't control his power. He'd constantly smash the mangoes to pulp. It made him want to give up. But every time, his father would patiently encourage him. Don't rush it. Learn to enjoy the process. Everything will fall into place. 6 years passed just like that. Pelé had grown into a spirited young man, and under his father's day-by-day guidance, his ginga had been honed to a razor's edge. And now his mother could see it too. That fire burning bright in her son's eyes again. After a sleepless night of hesitation, she finally made that phone call. The next day, when father and son came home from work, the scout from 6 years ago was already waiting at their door. He once again invited Pelé to join Santos FC. Pelé immediately looked to his mother when she gave him a nod, full of love and approval. Every last doubt melted away. On the day of his departure, his parents advanced 3 months' wages to buy him a brand new set of clothes.
You go make us proud.
And just like that, 16-year-old Pelé set off to chase his dream, carrying the hopes of his whole family. Dreams, of course, are beautiful, but reality never makes things easy. In his very first training session with the Santos youth squad, the moment Pelé pulled out his ginga moves, the coach called him out in front of everyone.
That's exactly the kind of monkey business I'm talking about. Follow the ground.
To fix Pelé's style, the coach had him watch footage from the 1954 World Cup. On screen, Brazilian players with their flashy, flair-heavy moves kept failing to break through the tight European defenses, costing them the tournament. Pelé understood what the coach was getting at, so he gritted his teeth and spent every night grinding away at the European style. But it just didn't suit him. Even with the coach guiding him step by step, he kept blasting the ball wildly off target. Before long, Pelé became the worst player on the team. Every night, he'd cry quietly in bed. But knowing his whole family was counting on him, he'd still force himself out after training and push through extra drills deep into the night. The old scout had been watching all of this. He always believed Pelé was something special. He just needed more time. But then one evening, the scout made a startling discovery. While everyone else slept, Pelé had packed his bags and was sneaking out to go home. Not long after, the scout tracked him down at the bus station. He asked him why he was giving up so soon. Pelé said, deflated, that the coach hated his ginga, and he couldn't learn the European style either. If he didn't go home and go back to school, he'd end up scrubbing toilets just like his dad. Hearing that, the scout sat down and told Pelé the true origins of ginga. Back in the early 16th century, Portuguese colonizers brought enslaved people to Brazil. Some of those slaves, to escape abuse and beatings, broke free and fled deep into the jungle. To survive, they created a fluid, adaptable form of combat capoeira. When slavery was abolished, they wove those moves into football, and Ginga took the world's breath away. It became the way Brazilians play football, in their very bones. But after consecutive World Cup defeats, many blamed Ginga for the losses, saying it crumbled against the European game. So Ginga went from a source of national pride to something the mainstream dismissed as street thug tricks. After sharing all of that, the scout looked Pelé dead in the eyes and said, "Ginga is already part of your soul. You can choose to be brave and embrace who you truly are, and prove to the whole world what you're made of. Or you can buy that ticket and get on the bus." The scout's words hit Pelé like a wake-up call. With that conviction in his chest, he turned around and walked back to the pitch, eyes blazing. In an internal scrimmage where his side was down 3-0, he once again found himself trapped in the European style. But this time, in that moment of hesitation, he thought of his father's words and the scout's. In a flash, he pictured the ball as that familiar mango. Chest trap, foot cushion, rainbow flick. He let his true instincts take over completely. The coach on the sideline screamed at him to pass, but Pelé ignored him. Instead, he shook his marker with a Marseille turn. Then, surrounded by 4 or 5 players, stopped dead, flicked the ball up, and connected with a jaw-dropping bicycle kick. Everyone on the pitch erupted at the unbelievable goal, but the coach's face turned stone cold. He waved Pelé over to the sideline. Pelé braced himself for another scolding and started to apologize, but the coach looked at him with eyes full of admiration.
Do it again.
With his coach's blessing, Pelé was a force unleashed. He lit up the pitch every time he played, rising rapidly from the youth squad to the professional side. At just 15 years old, he topped the club's scoring charts. Just a year later, Pelé used his signing bonus to give his family a better life, and the brand new radio he bought just for his father happened to broadcast his call-up to the Brazilian national team.
But also making the list, 16-year-old Chico Nascimento.
He was only a substitute, but it meant that at 16, he'd be representing his country on football's greatest stage. Before he left, his father warned him from bitter experience, never doubt yourself, because back in his own day, during a match where he was playing Ginga, one split second of hesitation was all it took to cause that career-ending injury. Doubt turns Ginga's beauty into a weapon against you, so you have to be stronger than I ever was. No matter how much people laugh at you or criticize you, never feel ashamed of who you are. Always keep a steady, peaceful heart. With his father's words ringing in his ears, Pelé set off for the World Cup. But when he confidently arrived at the national squad camp, he ran straight into Mazzola, the rich kid from his childhood. Mazzola was now a starter, while Pelé was just his backup. Even more discouraging, the national coach hated Ginga even more than his youth coach. He sternly warned Pelé, "Ginga might work at club level, but on the international stage, it'll get you eaten alive."
It won't happen again. Say it.
It won't happen again. It won't happen again.
During the training sessions that followed, Pelé once again found himself boxed in by the European style. But in one internal selection match, his father's words came back to him, and he broke the coach's rules and used Ginga anyway. But this time, the coach's furious shout shook him. And in that split second of doubt, Ginga's curse struck. His knee swelled up badly. The team doctor said he'd need at least a month to recover. And the World Cup was opening next month. Word of Pelé's injury spread quickly, and sports commentators tore him apart on the radio. Brazil actually has a player who got hurt playing that street ball nonsense. In an instant, every single teammate turned to look at him. Those silent, accusing stares, cut like knives, gutting the last bit of confidence Pelé had left. The 1958 World Cup in Sweden arrived. Pelé traveled with the squad, but with his knee still not fully healed, he could only watch from the locker room. In the group stage, Brazil made it through to the quarterfinals, but at a heavy cost, including Mazzola. 3 key starters had picked up injuries. In desperation, the coach had no choice but to throw in Pelé, whose knee had just healed. In that moment, Pelé was so nervous he threw up. When he was pushed out onto the World Cup stage, Pelé's slight, small frame immediately drew laughter from the European crowd. Drowning in that overwhelming pressure, he was so rattled he forgot to tie his bootlaces. Once the match began, terrified of hurting his knee again, Pelé played timidly, getting knocked about like a pinball against the towering Soviet defenders. But thankfully, his teammates carried the load, and Brazil won 2-0. In the semifinal against France, Pelé's knee was fully healed, but the wound in his mind was still wide open. He still couldn't find his rhythm, kept giving the ball away, allowing France to score first, and plunging Brazil into despair. They trudged back to the locker room trailing 1-0. By now, Pelé had completely lost faith in himself. He found Mazzola and asked if his foot was better. If so, Mazzola should go in for him. But Mazzola looked at him with sadness and said, "My injury is in my head. My whole life I've been telling myself I want to play like a European, but coming here, I finally understand. I'm Brazilian, that's what I am. You showed every one of us that the spirit of Ginga flowing in our blood, it is truly beautiful. And right now, that's exactly what we need." Mazzola's words were a massive wake-up call. Pelé's Pelé's whole mindset began to shift. When the second half started, Pelé was still a bit lost, struggling even to make a simple pass. But just then, he caught Mazzola watching from the bench, eyes full of belief. In that moment, the hesitation was gone. A stunning volley soaked in the soul of Ginga set the Brazilian fans in the stadium ablaze. The European crowd still jeered at first, dismissing it as luck. But what came next, from Pelé's relentless brilliance, left them completely silent. He used Ginga again, slicing open the French defense with ease, and scored again. Then he found the net for a third time, completing the youngest hat trick in World Cup history. Brazil marched into the final with a dominant 5-2 victory. Their opponents in the final were the hosts, Sweden, the feared Nordic giants. Facing such formidable opposition, the coach scrambled to prepare, but with the honor of an entire nation on the line, even he seemed overwhelmed. His tactical instructions, players complained they were impossible to execute. At the pre-match press conference, Brazil was subjected to psychological warfare by the Swedish coach, who publicly sneered that the Brazilian players were a bunch of freaks. When Pelé's father saw it on television, he immediately called his son, urging him not to fall for the mind games. He told him, "Right now, football fans all over the world are screaming the name Pelé. Believe in yourself, believe in your teammates, and above all, believe in the Ginga you're so proud of." After hearing his father's advice, Pelé went down to the hotel for breakfast, but he found his teammates sitting around looking completely lifeless. So to lift their spirits, Pelé threw out a challenge: juggle the ball all the way to that distant lighthouse over there, without letting it touch the ground. His teammates thought he was out of his mind, but Mazzola was quick to add, "You can't do it alone, that's for sure." Those words lit a fire under the whole squad, and so they took on this seemingly impossible mission together.
Come on, guys. It's the lighthouse. Keep me up, no route.
I'm sorry, sir.
Wake up, kid! To the lighthouse!
You got Pelé wrong! Run, Pelé! Get there!
The head coach watched it all unfold. Suddenly, it hit him that maybe he'd been wrong all along. So before the final, during his team talk, the coach dropped his old stubbornness and addressed the squad with a completely new attitude.
What I saw at the hotel today, that's how we play. They say that we don't all play the same. It's true. We certainly don't all look the same, like they do. But that's what makes us who we are. We have one thing in common: the ginga, the joy, and the expression of Brazil. So when you take the field tomorrow, forget everything that I told you this last week. I don't want the world to see a bunch of scared Brazilians trying to play like Sweden. I want them to see Brazil, just as we are.
June 29th, 1958. The World Cup final was underway. But from the very start, Pelé was targeted with brutal tackles and tight marking. Just 4 minutes in, Sweden used their physical dominance to take the lead. Brazilian fans' hearts sank. A wave of despair crept in over the entire squad. The gap in raw power, the teammates' broken spirits. And then Pelé looked up at the stands and saw the handful of Brazilian fans who refused to give up. In that moment, he remembered the promise he made to his father.
I win a World Cup for Brazil, but I promise.
He didn't want to see his father cry over this again. He didn't want to see Ginga spat on anymore. He was going to win this World Cup for Brazil. That goal didn't just level the score, it reignited his teammates' confidence and their very soul. From the restart, these Samba warriors unleashed the full spirit of Ginga from within. Their fluid combinations, their mesmerizing footwork, they tore the mighty Swedes apart with nothing they could do about it. Pelé then scored a goal so spectacular, it stunned the entire world. With just 1 minute left on the clock, a teammate launched a long ball. Pelé leaped into the air and powered a header into the net, putting the game away for good. The match was over. Brazil crushed Sweden 5-2 to claim the 1958 World Cup. At 1017, Pelé became the youngest World Cup champion in history. From that moment on, his name echoed across the world of football, a legend for all time. But this was far from the end of Pelé's story. In the years that followed, Pelé led Brazil to consecutive World Cup titles in 1962 and 1970, becoming the only player in history to win 3. He amassed an astonishing 1,283 career goals, and his influence at the time was almost beyond comprehension. The president of Brazil, terrified that European clubs would poach him, actually signed a decree declaring Pelé a national treasure, not for export. Even more incredible, in 1969, when Pelé traveled to Nigeria for a match, the two sides of the country's conflict agreed to a 48-hour ceasefire, just so everyone could safely watch him play. Perhaps that's the magic of the greatest player who ever lived. But time spares no one. This great man passed away on December 29, 2022. At the age of 82, some say Pelé didn't change football. Because he was football, he showed us that football can be art, it can be hope, and it can even be a force, powerful enough to make the world forget its conflicts, if only for a moment. Though the boy who once chased a softball has stopped running forever, the football dream he ignited will forever inspire those who come after him to step onto their own pitch of life and play their own Ginga fearlessly.